when the bins come out and the deer coming down, the leaves are off the trees, we know that it's time for Christmas lights. How's it going, Abe? Welcome back to the Great Green North. Today we are doing Christmas stuff, Christmas lights. So I do want to address one thing before this. Up in Canada, we have this holiday called Remembrance Day, and this holiday we take the time to thank our veterans for the sacrifice that they made to preserve our freedoms. So we make sure to donate to the Royal Canadian Legion, wear a poppy, and pay our respects to those veterans and are currently serving members of the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy. So one big thing that I like to point out here is, unlike the States where sometimes Christmas starts right after Halloween, we need to make sure that we take the first 11 days of November to pay respects to our veterans and our military serving members. And that is why I do not like to turn my Christmas lights on until November 12th. And I'm putting this out there as a public service announcement. If you're up in Canada, please wait on the Christmas lights. Don't turn them on until after November 12th. Now that doesn't mean that you can't put them up, just don't turn them on until after November 12th. Thank you, and I hope you guys can get out there, donate to the Royal Canadian Legion, and wear your poppy to support our veterans. Okay guys, so today is my annual Christmas light decoration day. So I normally tend to try to get it done early November, definitely before the snow flies. Last year we had our biggest snowstorm of the year on November 11th. So this is normally kind of my annual day to do it, about early November. So I'm gonna be doing it today. I'm not gonna turn them on, as I said before, and I'm not gonna put out the deer. So we're not gonna put out the deer till after November 11th. Guys, it's 21 degrees outside today. We were sitting about -4 a week ago today was our daytime high, and now it's 20 degrees. It's supposed to cool down, be a very cold December, January, February, and all throughout the winter. So this is kind of our last breath of fresh air. So I'm gonna try to get all the Christmas lights up today. So without further ado, let me kind of go over some of the things that you guys should plan when doing Christmas lights. So the first thing I want to talk about is the roof line. So a lot of people like to do the roof line, so do I. I do the roof line every year, except for right now. Right now, we're supposed to be getting our eaves trough replaced coming up soon. So hopefully they come very soon so I can get it done before the snow flies. And hopefully they at least come before Christmas so I can at least have some lights on the eaves trough for this year. But at the moment, we are not going to be putting lights on the eaves trough right away because there's no point in putting them up if we just got to take them down in a week. So we're leaving the eaves trough for now, but we're going to get all the trees done and all of our extension cords run for everything else. So without further ado, let's get into the plan that we do every year here for Christmas. So down at the bottom of the road here, you can see kind of what we're doing for our major plan. So this is what the lawn care nut would call your $100 view. So this is the view that most people are going to see your lawn. That's why all my stripes are pointed directly towards my $100 view. Most people that end up coming down our street here end up turning around in our driveway. So this is kind of my $100 view, either here or somewhere kind of in between these two trees here. That's kind of a perfect straight on look at our house. So first thing, we're going to be hopefully doing the roof line all the way around the front of the house. I don't do the peaks. I know some people do that. I don't do that. I just do the eaves all the way around the front of the house. We want to highlight this garden bed around the front. So we're going to be putting lights on these trees in this garden bed. We want to highlight this upper garden bed in front of those two windows. So we're going to be putting lights over there. And then we want to highlight the middle of the yard, highlight around here. So that is why we put reindeer right in the middle of the yard, kind of right here. So it outlines that $100 view when you come out here and give it a straight on look. I would tend to encourage you guys to start putting up your lights close to dusk, because then once you get them all up, you can quickly click them on. Make sure you're happy with the way they look at night, because they look different day to night. So as you can see around the corner here, this is what we're going to highlight. So we're going to be putting lights up on this tree, up on this tree, maybe on this tree, depending on if we get to the eaves trough this year or not. If not, we'll do that one definitely. And then we're going to be highlighting this big one up here. Well, I've tried to do these U's before. They're not very strong. They tend to get pushed down by the snow. They're big. They're way overgrown. We didn't plan any of this. This is the way it was when we moved in. So probably just gonna do that tree instead of the U's this year. Might do this one. As again, the extra lights in the eaves trough might give us an opportunity to do that one. But definitely this big Rose of Sharon here, this Euonymus, and this burning bush over here. Yeah, and then the deer probably somewhere around the middle here, as I can said, kind of over there, and over there is my $100 view. So this is what I'm looking at for major viewpoints coming in the front yard here. Once you've kind of highlighted your plan, you need to locate your power source. So this is a major thing, especially if you're doing lights up on the roof, because up on the roof, it depends on the way you run them. So luckily, this was a custom home, and when they built it, they put a power source right up there by the eaves trough, which is really nice for doing lights on the roof, because run extension cord up there, whole roof is done. The not nice thing about it is when we're doing stuff on the ground for our ground game, we're gonna have to run an extension cord all the way down this wall and out this way. So that's the not nice thing about it, but it is nice to have it right up by the roof for the eaves trough. It makes it easy, perfect. So that's another thing that a lot of people talk about. You don't just want to have your roof game, especially if you have a large house, a large front yard like we do. Your whole front yard is going to be black if you do the whole roof. So you want to make sure that you're illuminating some of the accents of your landscape. So some people just do those little lights that stick in the ground and stake up. Fortunately, Canada, we get about a foot of snow, hopefully sometime before December. Some years we don't get any, but this year it's looking like we're going to get quite a bit. So that is why lights very close to the ground don't really work here in Canada, because they tend to get completely covered with snow. Same thing if you put lights up on the shingles on your roof. In Canada, completely covered with snow. So you gotta think about the snow and think about the way that you're gonna be doing the trees. So a lot of trees like evergreens, you can't leave the lights on until March or April to take them down. You have to take them down in early January or February, because as soon that tree gets its first major growth. Evergreens grow a lot in the spring and the fall. Every tree does. The most growth it has is in the spring and in the fall. So if you don't get those lights off before the spring, you're gonna see major stunting and you actually might kill the tree. So that is why you need to make sure that you're getting all your lights off before the spring and the fall. So once you've outlined your roof game, what part of your roof and your house you're gonna highlight, then you can highlight your ground game, which part of the house on the ground you're gonna highlight. I like to put lights in the trees over just floods. Some people just like floods. It's completely up to you. But I'm going to show you once I start here getting all the lights out. Now before you start getting the lights out, throwing them up on the trees, as I said, highlight your power source, figure out your extension cord lengths, how you're going to run everything. So for my example, we run one major one down to here that kind of squids out, then we run one over that way, one along the patio over there, and one far one out there. So that's how we tend to set things up. We've planned it out. Make sure you plan out your extension cord routes. That is the most important thing. There's no point in putting up lights if you can't plug them in. Next thing you're probably looking at, people are getting really excited right now and they just rip the lights out of the bins and they start throwing them up on trees. Please, I'm gonna encourage you guys to hold off on doing that instantly. You need to do one thing first, and that's test every bulb. So you need to take all the bulbs out and you need to test them to make sure that they work. So I have a couple totes here where I keep all my Christmas lights for the season. As you can see, full of Christmas lights and extension cords. I have already gone out and tested them, and there was one strand that I needed to replace. So I went out, replaced it, and this is good to do early because sometimes they could be sold out. Sometimes it takes you a couple days to get out to the store. You want to make sure that you have time to replace those strands before you're going to be putting up lights. And there's nothing worse than putting lights up on a roof with a ladder and then you can't get back around to it because the lights are out and you got to take them all back down. So there's nothing worse than doing things twice. So try to do things once. So first thing we're going to do here is set up all of my extension cord runs. So without further ado, let's do that. extension cord is laid out. The only 100-foot one I have is this orange one, so we tend to use that for the long, because we need pretty much exactly 100 feet to get from here all the way out to the middle of the front yard. So if you can't get green though, green is better. It tends to blend in with the ground. Can't see it very well. No different than why your Christmas lights are actually green. It's because they blend in really well. So if you can get green, it is better. But as I said, we get snow here. It covers everything up. You can't see the extension cords anyway. So that's what we're gonna do. So without further ado, let's start with the extension cord runs. So here's a smart thing I learned actually volunteering with the local park to put up the Christmas lights. If you tie the lights together like this, if someone trips on the cable or the wind tries to rip the cable out, they won't come undone. So therefore, we can keep the lights on and we don't have to go troubleshooting afterwards. Also, if you kind of loop the extension cord around branches in the trees, it allows things to kind of stay up there a little bit more. I think there's a dead branch up in that tree, so we'll take that down while we're up. So I got this cable run going here, the other one going back up in that tree. So you know what that means? Time to get the lights out. So it's good if you can to kind of either take pictures from previous years or kind of mentally or sort things in different bins. So I know that the old lights, the ones that look like this, that are almost 15 years old maybe, all go in that garden over there. And I know that the newer lights, 4 strands goes on that tree and the rest goes on the roof, which I think is 6. So without further ado, let's start on these trees over here and then we'll move to the big boy over there. Actually, let's start on the big boy because I've never done him before. Okay, so here we are here putting the lights up on the trees. So start by getting out the ladder. Now you want to make sure that you're going to stay safe on a ladder. There can be a lot of holiday accidents caused by people falling off ladders, getting up on the roof, trying to put up lights. But as you can see here, what I'm kind of doing is I'm kind of cheating a little bit, only wrapping the front part of the tree because that's the only part that people are going to see from the road. So I'm going around making sure to attach the strands before I can no longer reach the plugs anymore. As you can see, I'm using my hands as much as possible to put lights on the tree because it's easier that way. But as you can see, in true Canadian fashion, in my hand there is a nice hockey stick, and I find you can kind of use that if you kind of hook the lights on the tip of the hockey stick. You can easily kind of push them over the top end of the tree quite a few times, and you can kind of help maneuver around specific branches that you want to be on. So that's that tree done. You can see a little bit tough, but I think we got it done. Sun's going down, so might as well move on and get these bad boys done before it gets dark. So let's go. So these trees specifically are ones where the hockey stick really becomes useful, as they're kind of at the point where they're not really tall enough or large enough to have to use the ladder. As you can see, I only had to use the ladder once or twice at the beginning, and then after that they're kind of low enough, especially with me being a tall guy, to reach high enough just to kind of move the lights around a little bit. And then the upper ones you can kind of just, as you can see here, I'm just kind of using the hockey stick to readjust things if I don't like the way they're lying. I wrapped that one all the way around, but as you can see, I'm cheating a little bit with this front one and kind of wrapping it around back again. And then when I realize that I have a little bit more lights than I actually need, I'm going to kind of readjust everything so I can get an extra band right through the middle. So at the moment, that's it for the front. We have all the lights in these trees and the ones in that one. I'll come back out when it's a little darker so we can show you a little better. But yeah, so the deer will go just about there. And then we put a little tree on the porch there. Without further ado, that's the front. What I didn't tell you is there's more in the back. So let's head around back. I'm not going to make any particular video on this, but I might do one next year. This is the patio table, and that's the patio set over there. So what we learned over the years is if you if you just tarp them, you get water collecting and everything. So this one is actually a built structure that slopes. As you can see, there's a pitch on it, so that will slope the water out. This one, we put a little bit of foam and stuff on top of the table to protect it, and then tarp it up. So it's easier, you don't have to store them in the garage or anything, you just tarp them up on the deck. And they kind of look a little bit cleaner for the winter. We have them tarped pretty much 6 months of the year. So quite a few years ago, I was given some of these extra lights here. These are multicolored ones. And I didn't want to put them in the front with the rest because we're trying to keep some kind of unity. So I decided to put them on these rows of Sharons in the back here. So we kind of just put them all around here. I mean, nobody else other than maybe those neighbors can really see them other than us, but it's really just kind of nice to look out the back window of our house. And the deck lights we turn off in the winter time, so we have recessed deck lights on our deck. It looks really nice in the summertime, but in the winter time, snow builds up on top. There's no point in leaving them on, so we turn those all off in the winter time. We're about a week away. I normally try to keep them on until we put the Christmas lights on, so there's no kind of darkness until Christmas lights come down in January. So we do pretty much every single tree here except for this little one, but I try to do them all. I did have to buy one extra strand to do them all. Another great thing to look out for when you're putting up Christmas lights is find a light switch or a light plug that's on a switch. So the plug in our front yard is on a switch, so we turn them on and turn them off manually. Just by clicking a switch, turns everything on, click the switch, turns everything off. Really nice. But we do have a plug behind this planter here, and then when we built the deck, we wired in some plugs. There's one hidden behind there, there's one hidden over there, and there's one over there. So because of that, we don't have a switch on that other than maybe clicking the breaker downstairs. So what we ended up doing is I normally put all these on a timer. I don't have the timer with me right now because I will put it out on the 12th. So without further ado, we're going to probably take power off of here and run it this way instead of taking power off here and going that way. It just makes more sense to me. And then we'll start throwing all the Christmas lights up. So let's get going. So these trees in the backyard I kind of did one year just because I had a couple extra lights, as I kind of said. But as years went by, I started to enjoy it quite a bit, able to look out the back window and it's not sheer darkness in the night. So that's why I like to put these ones up every year. Just a little bit of work, and it gives you a little bit of joy. Can I get it to focus? We'll get to this in a minute, and that up there in a minute. But let's cover what we wanted to cover right here. We have yet to get everything up on the roof. Looks like maybe next week, hopefully, we'll be able to get some stuff on the roof. A couple of things happened on Sunday that have kind of changed our trajectory of where we're going to be going for the end of this year, and has definitely given us a little bit more time outside, but a little bit unwanted time outside. Without further ado, let's take a look at what we have outside right now. Things have also changed with this a little bit because of what happened on Sunday, but let's see what we got outside right now. So we're just gonna fix this guy a little bit. Oh geez, it's cold. Okay, so first here we got the deer. So the deer have been put out. If I pop back to my $100 view, you can see the house right here. The roof line is to come, hopefully next week maybe. We have the deer sitting in the front yard. Now these came out, plugged in, staked them down. Now I have a guideline here. I don't know if you guys can see that. That is connecting them to the ground. I tend to do that quite a bit because I have had them blow over in the past, so the guideline helps a little bit more than the stakes. Keeps them from kind of swaying. And we had something happen on Sunday and these did not budge, so I can tell you that is why those stay the way they are. There is the little sleigh, and here's what the trees look like at dusk after time. So that's what they look like. So without further ado, thank you guys for watching this episode of The Great Green North. Definitely tune in, subscribe if you want to hear about the story about what happened on Sunday. I'm going to be making a full kind of story time video about telling you what happened. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but things happen and there's nothing to control it. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.